Part 2 of The Unstable One, Part 1 down below. Update. Well, yesterday my WW called me at work and told me while the day before yesterday was a good day, she was feeling a little disturbed yesterday. She indicated it was because she felt her mother still was pressuring her to quit her job. I just let her talk a little and didn't offer any suggestions at this point. I could tell when I returned home from work that she was frustrated since she was taking a deep breath every once in a while. She would do this a lot in the weeks leading up to D-Day. These are the time where I feel most uncertain and scared for RM since I don't know exactly why she feels stressed. Is this a sign of withdrawal or is she having conflicting thoughts? She also had lunch with her girlfriend yesterday, so there is also the possibility that they discussed the other man and that may have stirred her emotions somewhat. In the past I would ask what is wrong only to get a curt response. This time I just let her deal with it on her own and continued plan as she seemed to be a little better by the end of the evening after we helped clean up the kids' toys, a disaster area. We engaged in a little pillow talk about fun stuff, like kids, old movies, favorite foods, and then went to bed. Sometimes we have great little conversations and I just want to hold her, but it pains me to hold back. She is in a predominantly taker mode right now, however, her giver still breaks through now and then. Conversely, I am in complete giver mode. Since she said I was smothering her and needy and clingy, I sleep on my side of the bed now and don't make any attempts at touching. I pray for the day when she comes over to my side and puts her head on my chest. I miss things like that so much. Today I plan on bringing home Chinese's food for dinner since I know she loves chicken balls. I have ordered his needs and her needs and should be receiving it very shortly. I will try to get her to fill out the questionnaires, especially Anne, since I really want to make sure I focus on her top ends. For the first time in a long time, she has discussed issues from her work with me at the dinner table over the past 2 days. I just listened and asked some questions to get some details. I also commented on the issues and took an interest in what she was saying. I basically listened to her, which I never did before. I hope she continues to seek me for conversation. I am a little hesitant to ask her about her work, because pre-D-Day I would ask how was your day and she would sometimes get stressed and take those deep breaths. I don't know why she does this. Was she thinking of the other man or stressed at me smothering her? These past 2 days she has initiated the conversation, but I would like to take upon myself to start. Maybe I will try talking about my day first and then put the ball in her court. She doesn't trust me right now because of the exposure and snooping, so I'm trying to rebuild her trust a little every day. I think if I tell her something about me that is very personal, feelings, worries, hopes, she may begin to see that I am honest and trustworthy again. I spoke to my WW this evening and told her that I just called on Monday to follow up my original complaint. That was 5 days before her manager called her with this new complaint. Usually, they get answers within 5 days, so you may be right, Brits Brat, that this is a new complaint. Wouldn't that just be splendid? I just wanted to know what has been done. If that qualifies as a new complaint, then so be it. Like you stated, BB, it shouldn't. It will be interesting to see what this is about. I notice a lot more babble when she is upset. 1 second, she is saying she will leave me if she finds me recording her calls. Then she says I love you too. I think she is sinking deeper into the fog right now. The only way out is for her to quit her job, but that is not an option right now. Sometimes she says things that makes me think she wants to believe my feelings are for real, but doesn't want to accept it, like, show me how you would love me. What things would you do to make me feel loved? What do you love about me? I think she may be fishing for evidence that my deep love for her is real. I can't believe how bad she has made me out to be. What happened to all of the positive things I did? I know I neglected her, but she makes me sound like it was malicious and intentional. Is she trying to justify her EA? Below are some of the things my WW has said over the last 2 months in chronological order. I feel funny around you. I want to get up now. She got out of bed after I asked if there was other man. It's not you, it's me. I don't deserve you. Please don't do those things for me. It makes me feel bad. Flowers and affection. I want to feel like we did when we dated. Do you have any regrets about us? I think I'm losing my mind. He's smothering me talking to her girlfriend. He's needy and clingy talking to her girlfriend. I'm losing my temper and yelling at the kids because of him talking to her girlfriend. After D-Day, tell how you know so I can explain. How do you know that? He's just a friend. If you don't tell me how you know, I won't talk to you. This isn't going to work. You can't tell me who my friends should be. After exposure, what did you tell them? I never hated you before, but I feel hate for you now. How could you do this? This is all your fault. I don't know where to go. You can leave if you're not happy. I can't stand you. You're trying to control me. I feel like I'm being watched. You are trying to force my hand. You are doing this to make me leave. I'm not quitting my job. There are probably many, many more, but I thought I would stop here. Well, we had an interesting weekend. Saturday morning, my WW wakes up and the first thing she says is, do you want me to file for separation papers? Well, that kind of took me by surprise, but I was able to reply, no, I want you to work on our marriage. To which she said, every time my family grills me, it pushes me further and further away. So, I said, you know, when you are in contact with other man, it hurts me deeply. Well, I can't accept contact with him, and it would mean a lot to me if you would at the very least ask for a transfer from his facility. She replied, "Do you promise to stop recording my phone conversations and talking to my family?" And I said, "If you agree to no contact, I will stop recording your conversations and ask your family to back off." She then said, "I'm genuinely telling you this, but I don't know if I can trust you." I replied, "We have to start building the trust again somewhere." So, we negotiated an NC, and then she said, "I want to move away from here because I can't stand my family anymore. Sometimes I think we should split the house and I would buy a smaller place and you can come and see the kids whenever you want and we could maybe date and start from scratch." Well, this didn't go over well with me, but at the risk of losing the NC agreement, I just said I do not like to think of that. What I really felt like saying was, there was no way and I would have my kids taken away from me. If you want your space, then just leave, but the kids stay here. That statement still upsets me because she thinks she is entitled to the kids. After we agree, we hugged for a bit and went to have breakfast. She said I took everything out of context and she could explain every conversation she had with other man and her girlfriend. I'm not too sure about that. I also found out that she was told she could no longer have any contact with other man at work. However, she called him, and when I asked her about this, she said it was about work and he is my friend and he needed some advice, so I couldn't say no. I replied, "Your work told you not to contact him and you said call me here so it can't be traced." Well, you could tell she was trying to dance on this one, and she said, "You don't believe me, do you? I can tell by the way you are looking at me." I just said, "Why would you risk contacting him when your work told you not to?" She said he is new to the job and needed advice. I just looked at her in disbelief. So, we will see how this turns out. She is still disengaged from me and cold and distant. To be honest, I am starting to lose some of the love I had for her with all this. It is really draining on you emotionally and physically. I just weighed myself today and I have lost about 25 pounds, so I am now down to 150 pounds and I am 6 feet tall. Almost everyone is asking me if I am sick or what is wrong. My WW doesn't seem to care at all. She is in extreme taker mode currently. The next time she brings up separation, I will be ready for her and tell her the following. "Honey, I love you very much and I would love for you to stay and try to work on our marriage. But if you are certain you would like to leave, I will not hold you back. The door is open. But the kids will stay here in their home. I have just bought a guitar and started taking some lessons since that was something I have always wanted to do. I am getting tired of her being a jerk and treating me like I'm not even here sometimes. I have been so nice, kind, considerate, and thoughtful to her over the past few weeks. I know I'm not supposed to expect anything in return, but it does wear on you. I have listened to the phone conversations I made a couple of weeks ago, and every time I listen, I am convinced she is enamored with the other man. However, she makes me believe there is nothing and says it is taken out of context. There are no "I love you" or anything like that on the tape, just mush talk and clues that she likes other man. I want the smoking gun or something that says, "Aha, I got you." What should I do to get this? Should I ask to read her email? I have a feeling she will object. The only way she is contacting with other man right now is by phone or email. Also, when she said she wants to separate and I could come and see the kids whenever I wanted, that made me really scared. I can't bear to have them away from me. I don't know what my rights are. If she files for separation, what can I do to protect my kids? I need to know this so I can proceed with a plan. I really want to turn up the heat on the E, but I need some more evidence right now. I also need to know what I should say to her if she threatens with separation. I have a feeling she is conversing via email, since one of the phone conversations she said, "Just send me an email to call you." She may be using her work cell phone to call him also. I am confused right now and feel like I am losing control. I don't want to be either. Also, her damn friend is good friends with other man also, so she may be conversing through her as well. I need good proof that something is still happening. The more I read about WWs, the more she is acting typical to one. I feel she is bringing this underground and turning all of the blame on me. I am falling for it and I can't believe it. I don't want to always talk to her about it since it's not a good plan, and the fact that she told me she needs more space tells me she won't let me read her email. Should I ask her to promise NC and then ask for proof from her? She may not even agree to this, then what? Sorry for all the questions, but I need to get this ship straightened out again. The only people I can ask to go by and take a look are my in-laws, and they are unavailable tonight. She told me she would be going to either or two possible restaurants and then to Walmart to buy some clothes for our kids. I will look for the clothes when she gets home and ask some questions about dinner that will make it hard for her to get around. She also told me I can call her during dinner if I need to, so I may just do that and ask to speak to her girlfriend. An interesting thing happened as she was leaving. She said, "Are you mad that I am going out with my friend?" I thought about it for a moment and I said no, but I don't want you to talk bad about me with her. You will probably talk about me, but try not to talk about the bad stuff. Then she said something very interesting, which was bad stuff. There is no bad stuff. You're perfect. Remember, it's me and not you. I felt like saying, what about all the damn things you reminded me of that made me a bad husband, or that letter you wrote me that you brought up all the things in the past that hurt you, or that you never felt loved? If I'm so perfect, what about all those things? Of course, I didn't say this, but I took a mental note and will remember to use this in the future if required. What do you think about this comment WW made? Could this be fog talk? Also, if she is disengaged, why would she care if I am mad at her? So, as she was leaving, I said have a good time and she gave me a kiss. That is the second kiss in 3 days. The other one was just before I left on my trip to Chicago. She is in a better mood today, more approachable, less distant and angry. So, I just want to continue planning until next week when she returns to work to see how that affects her. She is supposed to ask for a transfer away from other men, so I will give her a little time to see if she comes through with this plan. If not, then I will start to turn up the heat again and create a small crisis for her. Well, WW arrived home last night and we talked a little. I told her thanks for calling me and telling me where you were. She said I know you don't trust me and that her girlfriend made fun of her and said what are you, in jail or something. My WW told me that sometimes she feels that way. I can't stand her girlfriend. We talked some more and then went to bed. My WW also said that my DS has been saying to her lately, Mom, why are you always mad at me and why do you talk like that to me like that? She blames it on trying to get work done from home and having no support from her family. Then she asked me if I yelled at the kids last night, to which I said no, they were very well behaved. I think it bothers her that she is yelling at them at times and I haven't been. I really want to know what they talked about. Would it be smothering if I asked my WW to give some details on their conversation even though I might not get the truth? I'm sure they talked about other men. I am a little anxious about WW going back to work on Monday. I don't know what to expect and how she will react to seeing other men again. Will she be happy, sad, frustrated, angry, confused, who knows? I just called home to see what my WW and kids were doing. She said everything was going okay, but her family was being a H again. When I asked why, she said as she went by her parents' house to pick up the kids after going to get her hair done, her father asked her, did you go to your work? She doesn't feel like this will ever change and is really mad at them and me for doing this. I just stuck to my guns this time and said, you know why I did this. She wasn't too responsive to that answer, but I'm kind of glad that she feels the pressure from her family since it might help NDE. She said there is nothing I could say to her family to change their opinion of her. In fact, if she were to follow through with NC and show me that she is interested in keeping me from being harmed, I would talk to them and explain that she needs their love and support to help our marriage succeed. But until that happens, I need their support to maintain some pressure on her to end the E. My 1049 wanted to call my WW girlfriend to rip into her and tell her to stay away from my WW. I told her to hold off on that for a while since I'm not sure what effect it would have. My WW also said, I don't want to get into this right now, my exposing to her family, since we have been getting along better lately. It was good to hear her say that and shows me that my plan is working. I just received an email from my WW's boss telling me that she received my complaint of WW and other man. She said they will investigate accordingly, however will not be able to disclose the outcome due to employee privacy rights. I sent this complaint in over 3 weeks ago, so I hope she doesn't bring it up with my WW now since we seem to be doing better lately. This would set us back some. I wonder if my WW is wavering between conflict and withdrawal since she seems to be more willing to argue as she did several months ago. Her taker is definitely in charge, however, her giver very rarely makes an appearance. On the other hand, I have been in full giver mode for some time now. Hopefully, this will eventually pay off. I have been making a very concerted attempt not to LB, while my WW complains all the time with disrespectful judgments, angry outbursts, and some independent behavior. Last night had an AO when my DD cut her hair using a pair of scissors while I was taking a shower. According to my WW, I should have let her know I was in the shower. Maybe, but she didn't have to become upset with me as she did. Later, after she had finished a phone call with her SIL, I asked what happened and she told me she was upset with something and that it would be a good call to listen to if you are still recording my conversations. I didn't shoot back with anything, just let it go. I seem to be having some success in supplying her end of conversation. We have been talking more, even though it may not always be deep and thoughtful. However, the affection end is a much harder one to crack. She has that emotional wall up and won't accept my affection right now. Yesterday morning before leaving for work I gave her a quick peck on the forehead. Well, this morning as I was about to leave, she turned around and placed her head in the pillow preventing my kiss. I didn't pursue it and just left for work. I don't know if she did that on purpose, but it did hurt. I have a picture of her on my desk that is bittersweet to look at. She is smiling and looks so beautiful, but then I remind myself that she won't let me close to her both physically and emotionally, and it hurts like crazy. I sometimes feel like turning it down. Things seem to be improving so very, very slowly and I feel like I am walking on eggshells not wanting to make things worse. One minute we are laughing while having dinner and a couple of hours later she is angry and upset with me. My giver is taking a beating, but I just keep thinking of the end goal. The fact that she said we are getting along better lately has given me some hope that planning is slowing having an effect on her. I miss the days where I could go to work without worrying about what she is doing or our relationship. I wish she could see how this is affecting me, but she really doesn't seem to care or have a clue. Update. Well, things seem to have taken a turn for the better as this was the best weekend WW and I had since I exposed her ESET. We were busy with her brother's wedding and my plan seemed to be finally making some progress. She is engaging me in conversation now and has even twice started her question or comment to me by using the word honey as in honey, could you go to the store for me? I haven't heard her use that word in several months. As we were taking some family pictures with the kids, she held my hand and was very nice to me throughout the day. At the wedding reception, she even asked me to dance when the first slow song was played. For those of you who don't know my story, she is extremely resentful of a time when I neglected her at a wedding we went to and has said she doesn't want to dance with me for this reason. So, when she asked me to dance, I was extremely surprised. She looked beautiful in both her morning and evening dress and I made sure I let her know. There were plenty of beautiful women there, but she was the only one I had eyes for. Yesterday, we had lunch at her parents' and everything went well again. Everyone had a good time and she talked about me in a nice way to those who were there. She also placed her head on my shoulder when she was a little tired. By the end of the night, we went to bed and as she was reading her novel, she reached down and held my hand. I couldn't believe it, she was showing me affection. I hadn't felt this from her in months. So, I returned the affection by stroking her arm and kissing her forehead. It was a very loving and affectionate moment for us. At that point I couldn't resist and I told her I figured it was the right time even though I knew I shouldn't have. She just looked at me and said, I had a very nice weekend with you. Not exactly what I wanted to hear, but it's better than being ignored. A few minutes later she asked me to make love to her and we proceeded to have a beautiful and intimate time with each other. She actually kissed me passionately, which we haven't done in several months either. At the end of it all, she told me she was nervous about going back to work since everyone would be asking her where she has been. Then she asked me if I was nervous of her returning to work, which I said a little. She replied with even after tonight. And I said yes. I think I will tell her tonight that I'm not really scared of her returning to work, but scared of her being in contact with other men. I thought about canceling the complaint to her boss, but I really believe the benefits of maintaining the complaint outweigh the benefits of canceling it. Sure, there would be some short-term pain if her boss confronts her and we go back to square one for a while. But on the other hand, the complaint keeps her employer aware of the issue and hopefully pushes them to monitor the situation. Having said all this, my ultimate hope is that her boss processes the complaint without telling my WW and monitors her conduct as well as that of the other man. I know my WW is now concerned about using her company's cell phone or email to contact other men since she was told to stop contact with other men. I can feel her opening back up to me and starting to accept my efforts to meet her and expose. It was only 4 weeks ago, but I feel like it really helped in stopping fuel the affair. Sure, my WW hated me for it and it may not have stopped the entirely, but it exposed it to the light of day, made it very difficult to continue. So, for those of you out there in the same situation and that are hesitant to expose, I would encourage you to do so as quickly as possible. It is definitely short-term pain for long-term gain. Well, today I'm feeling anxious and worried since my WW will be seeing other man for the first time in about 3 weeks. She is going to his office location, which she does as part of her job once a week. Last night we talked and she told me she put in the request for a transfer but doesn't know if it will happen since they will need to find someone who wants to assume her location. We also talked about the recorded phone tapes and I told her how hurt I feel whenever I hear them. I am considering letting her listen to the tapes to show her why I am so concerned and upset. Would this be a good idea? I figure if she listened to the tapes, she could hear herself and hopefully see what she is doing is wrong. I will be scheduling an appointment with SH for WW and I next Wednesday. Hopefully he can provide some good advice and maybe sway my WW to NC. I am so confused right now. Sometimes I get the feeling from my WW that she is coming back to me emotionally, and other times she is still distant. Last night, for example, while sleeping, when cuddled up against me and started stroking my face. Why would she do this? Then we held hands a little and cuddled together. But when she leaves for work and returns, she won't hug or kiss me. I don't know what to do. I haven't tried initiating the hug and kiss since I don't want to push her, but I don't understand how she could cuddle me in bed and not hug me before or after work. After yesterday's MC session with SH, my WW seemed a little annoyed or upset. I also noticed a tissue box on the bed from where she was talking to Steve and I assumed that she was crying. I am really curious as to what SH told her. He asked me if I thought her relationship with other men was appropriate, to which I replied no, and so I wonder if he asked her the same question. I also wonder if he will bring up the issue of NC in her next individual session. He compared it to a consultant who comes to a company to implement the exact same agenda that management want. Only the workers were not open to it because it was coming from management, thus the necessity for a third party. He talked to her for a long time, 35 minutes, so he was able to get a good background on what is happening from her standpoint and hopefully plant some seeds in her mind. When she came home from work last night, she said to my son while I was right there, "I always tell you that I love you, but I don't show you enough," and proceeded to hug and kiss him. Was this an indirect shot at me, considering she had just talked to SH that same day? She has been expressing her love for my kids more lately, and although I can understand this, it hurts since she places so much emphasis on the love for them and ignores me completely. I am curious as to what SH's plan for me will be. I just hope my WW continues with the sessions even though she seems reluctant to proceed. I really hurt when my wife expresses her deep love for my DD or DS who happen to be right beside me and she completely ignores me. It is like I am a ghost. I don't know if she is doing it on purpose or just doesn't realize how much it hurts me. Yesterday I was a little upset since she woke up very early and came home late to pick up and drop off her girlfriend who works with her. She goes out of her way for this person while her family is waiting for her at home. When she does this, it is a major LB towards me. I remember her telling me last year that I don't spend enough time with the family. I wish she could see herself now. Last night my WW was in a bit of a foul mood. I think it had to do with the fact that I visited my mom-in-law and my bro had also come over to visit yesterday. Negative input from her friend may have also had something to do with it. She said stuff like, "You spend all day at my mom's when the grass needs cutting." In fact, I only spent about 1 hour there for lunch with my kids. She asked if I talked to my bro-in-law when he came over to visit yesterday afternoon, to which I told her he just asked how things were going. He was only here for 10 minutes. Her reply was, "That's all it takes for you." Sounds like babble to me, but again I recognized it too late and did not respond at the time. Well, WW is working from other man office location today, and it makes me sick to my stomach. I wonder if I should ask her about her day when she gets home and inquire about her contact with him or just not even bring it up. I don't know why she is acting colder and more distant to me over the past week or so. Could it have something to do with re-engaging contact with other man, or is she upset at me for everything that has happened? I feel like I'm losing control sometimes and just want to give up. I really don't think this R will work until she stops all contact with OM, but I don't know how that is going to happen. Well, during her false recovery period, about a month's worth, she said and did all the right things ... but they were what I would call fakeable. I had the feeling she was really coming back to me first when she broke down, told all, and cried on my shoulder for what seemed like hours. Then it was little things, being more patient with the kids, taking better care of the house. She's a stay-at-home mom, showing me little signs of affection, and being more thoughtful, a sign, I think, of thinking less and less about other man and more about her family. This weekend was the best in a long time, by the way. She put together a great surprise B-Day party for me with both sides of our family. Almost everyone there knew what she did, by the way. She's just been a really thoughtful person all the way around. I guess that may be the main thing to look for. Her mom told me I had become the knight in shining armor she had been looking for all along because I stayed with her through this without being angry and mean. She is finally truly appreciating how I've treated her the last 10 years. The knight reference above is indicative of how my wife has been in a fantasy world, thinking of what should have, would have, could have been with ex-boyfriends and other men she has known. She in turn believed I was the same way about my ex-girlfriends, which of course I am not. Crazy, crazy stuff. Yesterday, my WW came home from work and we sat down to have our dinner. I could see she was upset about something and still distant, so I asked her, "Is there something bothering you? You seem upset." She replied that there are rumors circulating around her work that she has a wacko husband who put in a complaint. Well, I thought to myself, that really isn't a rumor, it is the truth. The only thing I resent is the wacko part. I asked her who she is hearing this from and she told me that her director, the one I wrote the email to for help, just came back from vacation, and asked her, "So how are things going? Are you going to leave him or try to work things out?" She told me he is very unroyal. I guess she never considered it could be other man or her girlfriend who also works there that are spreading this information around. I then told my WW, "Babe, I'm sorry you feel so hurt. The only reason I did what I did was because I love you and I needed to stop what was going on between you and other man." She said, "Why couldn't you come to me and ask me about it?" I said I did confront you and you didn't tell me the whole truth. Then you told me you can't tell me the truth since you would hurt me. That made me feel hurt and betrayed, and that is when I decided to expose. Personally, I don't mind the talk at her work since there is now a floodlight focused on my WW relationship with the other man. I look at it as a win-win situation. If this ends the EA, then it was successful, and if she continues and eventually escalates the relationship and it is discovered, then the truth will finally be revealed. She also told me that she will never forgive me for what I have done. I have alienated her work, family and work friends who are embarrassed to come over to our house now. She can't attend the Christmas party at her work because of all this. Her brother won't look her in the eye because of what her heard on the phone tape. After she vented all this to me, I asked her one simple question: "Do you think it was inappropriate to do the things you did with other man?" Her response was no, and that is how I left it. She can think about that for a while. I need a good plan now to get her to reconnect with me. I hate hearing things like she told me yesterday, but I understand it as fog talk. I even wonder if she is possibly experiencing some withdrawal symptoms, since she may be coming to terms that this EA may be ending or mortally wounded. If I had to do it all over again, I may have waited a little longer before exposing, just gain more evidence, or the EA. That way there would be no way for her to dispute the EA and turn the blame around on me. I do think if had not exposed, however, this would have definitely progressed to a point where it would be much more difficult to deal with. The fallout from exposure was and is still hard to accept, especially when the BS is made out to be a wacko or some crazy insecure guy. I cannot deny the extreme effectiveness of exposure and will recommend it to anyone in a similar position. It has effectively blown the cover off the E, removed the secrecy, and placed in the light of day for all to scrutinize. It's not a nice place to be, but I would rather be here than see what would have happened if I had turned a blind eye and did nothing. The more I submerge myself into this unreal reality, the more I'm starting to really understand ARC's Lighthouse post. I just hope that my WW can one day see my light through the fog. Well, I had my individual session with SH this morning and all went well. He brought me up to speed on how my wife is emotionally wired and what needs to happen for us to fall in love again. He said it will take time, but this process should eventually break down her guard that she has constructed. He told me that my wife has noticed the changes, which is good, but she can't accept them with her guard up. So, I need to continue what I'm doing. She noticed that I am spending more time with the kids as well. She once told me that she thinks I will change back to the old me in the future, so I think it is very important for me to keep this up. In regards to the OM, he said it could be at the very early stages and I should not focus on that right now and to leave that up to him. The only problem is my wife doesn't want to continue with SH due to the cost and wants to go through an EAP. So, I may try an EAP MC. I just want to make sure they are pro-marriage and can help up reconnect. My wife is working from OM office location today, but I don't feel that anxious about it. I'm not sure why that is. Prior to D-Day she was really doing herself up in the morning. Today she didn't use her curlers or tabletop hair dryer and she wore her engagement ring. I don't know if any of this means anything. She even made me a lunch last night while making one for my DS. She hasn't made me a lunch in a long time. When I saw it, I was surprised and said, "You made my lunch? Thanks." Having said all this, she still seems distant somewhat. I got her to smile yesterday with a joke I told my DD. I told the same joke a few weeks ago with no effect on her. At least I'm getting something now. I will keep planning up and see if I can start to break through her guard. I think she is trying, so that makes me feel good. If she didn't want this to work, I think she would have been doing things to make me hate her or really thinking of herself only. As long as I can keep her trying, I will eventually break through and reconnect with her. My WW seems to have settled into this pleasant but somewhat distant persona. Does this sound familiar to any of the BS out there? She is not mean or rude, but she doesn't really show much affection to me either. She doesn't go out of her way to be nice and thoughtful, but she doesn't intentionally try to hurt me either. NC is going to be hard for my wife to do. Unless she gets the transfer she requested, which will be difficult, or she quits her job. NC is a pipe dream right now. She won't quit, so I don't know what else to do. The one positive is she only sees OM once a week. It's really sad because I could see her coming back to me when she was off work for 3 weeks, and then as soon as she returned, she became distant and colder again. I wish she could see it too. By the way, this is not a new friend and I have met her several times. I believe I have put in a good impression, but I fear my wife might have given her one side of the story. You know, the part about how terrible I have been throughout the marriage and how I unfairly exposed to her family and work. I'm sure she made me look like a real crack, but she has a great head on her shoulders and I respect her a lot. My wife bought her a small gift and card that she wrote thanks for sticking by me when I needed it, and will be giving it to her today. I really believe NC is the only way to get to recovery, but right now all I can do is plan and hope her transfer happens. It would be nice if Am was fired or left the country, but that is a pipe dream. It sounds like you and your wife have developed a great relationship after these tough times, and it gives me hope for my R as well. I must make sure I don't mess up with Plana since I don't want to give my WW more ammunition to talk to Am or her girlfriend. If she has nothing negative to say about me, then what else do they have to talk about? I don't think my WW will ever admit what she did was wrong. She already said she felt there was nothing inappropriate about her conduct, and they are only very good friends. I wonder if that is fog talk. Funny that she doesn't want to listen to the tape of the phone conversation where she sounds lusting for OM. Maybe she is afraid of the truth or just trying to repress it. I think she is also upset that I still have the tape since she is constantly asking me. I still have it. I don't want to get rid of it because I need it to deal my hurt. Every time I listen to it, I feel betrayed and hurt, and until I can deal with that better, I need to keep it. I'm afraid if I don't, my memory will convince me I was strong about everything. My wife is a fantastic lady, but she rarely admits being wrong, so I don't know if she ever will. I love her terribly and want RM to be better than it ever was, but that is not evident right now. Did UFWW notice the changes in you while she was in the A, and did it have an effect on her? I dream of the day where my WW asks me about my day or takes an interest in me again. Well, last night I tried talking to my WW, and boy does she still have lots of anger and resentment towards me. I started by asking her if we could be friends and just talk like friends. She said we are friends, so then I asked her how she was feeling and that I sensed she may be upset at something. She responded by saying we do talk like friends and she get upset when I involve her family. I told her I am no longer involving her family. So, I then asked her why she won't tell me how she feels, and her reply was friends don't tell each other how they feel. Well, she certainly didn't have a problem telling her girlfriend how she was feeling when I recorded her infamous phone conversation. What kind of dumb remark was this? When she says stuff like this, it makes me crazy. She also said, why should I tell you how I feel, so you can spread it to my family? I can't trust you anymore. I then restated that everything I did was because I loved her and wanted to save our marriage. She got really upset with that remark since she has heard it many times from me. Then she told me that she feels I am using the kids against her since I was such a poor father before, and now I'm doing everything with them, like playing, baths, reading stories, spending time in a loving way. I simply replied by saying I love her and the kids very much and am trying very hard to be the best husband and father that I can be. Finally, I said, what can I do to help improve things, to which she replied, nothing, just leave me alone. My reply was, I can't leave you alone. I love you too much for that. And that is how it ended. It seems she is having trouble dealing with this new husband and father. Steve Harley told me that when a WW gets upset at your improved behaviors, that means you are being effective. Even though she was vile with me throughout the conversation, I stated everything in a calm and loving manner. I must admit that this is getting much easier now since I have had so much practice with it. This morning we woke up and talked about some non-R stuff while still in bed. She seemed to be in a better mood. I noticed something interesting, however. During one of my taped conversations between WW and OM, noticed he would say you little crap to her in a nice way. So, I told my WW of something funny my DD did and said, what a little crap. My wife proceeded to sigh deeply and became quiet afterwards. Could this be a trigger for her? Later we went for breakfast with the kids and she seemed really focused on the kids, almost trying too hard to make them happy. I don't know if she feels she needs to compete with the way I am treating them. Does that make any sense? Is that how she sees my actions with my kids? She seems to be in a constant state of defensiveness and anger towards me, with some breaks. When she gets home from work, she barely acknowledges me, even after I greet her. Why is she so distant? Could she be in withdrawal? Yesterday she worked at the OM office location, but I don't know what the interaction was like. My comment, I don't see a safe place for your wife to land. She says that you neglected her for years and years and you dismissed that, saying that less than 1% of your interactions were poor. She is going to blame you no matter what. I think you need to accept that OM is her exit. Going to be working on part 3 today, and I will see you in the ending.